want to hear that again, do you?
Hold on. Go ahead.
You want me to tell my story again on the recording?
Just that statement, the last year, this year.
The last year's Unleash Your Inner Lion event, the 3.0, got me into a day job because we were struggling our asses off, and I had to do it for me just to be comfortable, I guess. And this year's Unleash Your Inner Lion event 4.0, be comfortable being uncomfortable, got me out of the day job. So I just resigned today. I got my office in my trunk, and I'm heading back to the home office to unload it, get to work.
I love it.
Yeah. Also, they just pissed me off real bad, so that made the decision real easy, because that's what corporate America does to you.
Did you do the awesome walk out of the building carrying the box?
My box is actually full of like supplements and protein powders and stuff like that. I didn't really have any stuff that like office stuff, but yeah, I carried my box of we'll say my Chris materials. If Chris were at a day job, like all my protein powders and my supplements and stuff.
Gotcha. When I was getting ready to go to the Unleash Your Inner Lion event, there's a box right in front of my desk right here. I was carrying the box, but it had all of the stuff that I needed to pack and take. And as I'm walking out of this building carrying the box, keep in mind my office is in a huge insurance company building. I'm up on the 10th floor kind of thing, right? I'm walking out, got my name badge, my key card access, all that hanging, carrying this box. And I was like, people are probably looking at me like, he just got fired.
Yeah, I had to tell my, man, they did, well, I got the ultimatum essentially, but, kind of like you bet on yourself, not the company you're working for. Maybe not as in high of caliber, but it was hey, we've had some complaints, you're talking to your contractors and doing Zoom calls and your business partner while you're at work and think you're stealing hours, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it is what it is. I get this job done. It takes me 10 to 15 hours a week to get that job done. I sit there bored, I'm not one to be bored, so I work on my other shit. Sorry. And they're like, well, you got to pick between one or the other. I'm like, well, okay, where do I sign?
I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see what the next chapter, the next growth point looks like. So
it seems like something like this happens to me every year, and we just keep on rolling, keep on.
I love it. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get kicked off. It's already recording there because I want to chop that piece out for something different. But there's something that came up on a call yesterday with Mickey and Aisa. And I started going down this track and I was drawing some stuff out. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, it'd be really good to share it with all of you guys. When I say the word marketing funnel, what comes to mind?
Different stages of marketing.
Okay, Gene, what you were about to unmute.
Oh, what comes to mind for me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so I have the visual of like a upside down triangle where you're putting in a bunch of leads or whatever, deals or contacts, whatever, and it's getting filtered through, and what comes out at the end is the actual nuggets, the golden nuggets, the things that are actually going to progress through your different pipeline stages.
Okay. John, what comes to mind?
Inputs in, put it into a system, and you get the desired output.
Okay. Jordan, what comes to mind?
Sorry, I'm definitely multitasking right now, driving from the former job. You said marketing funnel.
Yeah, when I say the phrase marketing funnel, what comes to mind?
Marketing funnel is something that you're constantly putting, I won't say constantly, but putting resources in to get a desired result or get leads out of.
Okay.
Your social media. You're constantly doing something to get engagement, to get people to reach out to you, to have interaction.
Okay. Chris C. comes to
Yeah.
mind?
Casting a wide net from a lead generation standpoint, different lead sources, and eventually narrowing it down as you go through the pipeline. We get smaller and smaller until you get to the desired result or deal.
Okay. Morgan, first time caller. Are you there?
I am.
What comes to mind?
Like many of the others, right? I think of a pipeline or actual like a funnel, right? Where you're pouring a lot in, but what's coming out are true like leads, things that you really want to focus your time and effort on.
Okay. Is that really Aisa or is that Mickey? I never know because you guys both log in under the same thing. It's really Aisa. Aisa, you're not allowed to answer.
I
This is
know.
literally what we
I was
talked
gonna say me, I know, because we just talked about it yesterday, so I can't
Yeah,
talk.
I actually said that right before you jumped on. I said our conversation today sparked something, and I was like, man, this is too good to just share with the two of you. It needed to be shared with everybody, and it just worked out. Today's the marketing day, so don't chime in just yet, okay? Let's see, Kim, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is the different marketing strategies that you have out there, whether it be social media, postcards, email, whatever the case may be, whatever that goes into the funnel. And like everybody else said, the ones that are truly motivated, that comes out at the end is what that's all about and goes into your CRM.
How many of you guys believe that there's just one marketing funnel for your business, that it's just one big funnel? I love the idea. It's a funnel. How many say it's one big funnel, and what goes in the top through that funnel process, eventually something comes out? Anybody think it's just one?
No.
I would think it's multiple, whether it's different segments of the business, different marketing platforms, right? Could be divided, I would think, many different ways.
Absolutely. There's not just one funnel, right? It's not just one giant funnel in our business. And this is where Mickey and Aisa and I got into this a little bit yesterday. I'm gonna do some whiteboard drawings as it pops up. There it goes. To that point, right, we all think of it as this funnel, right? And as we put, I'm gonna move this so I can see everybody best I can. And as we put something in to the top of the funnel, there is some desired outcome at the bottom of it, right? The whole reason we're putting it in there is to get something out of it. However, there is not just this one funnel in our business. Our funnels, our marketing funnels, actually start to tie together and link together. And I want to back up a hair, go back a few weeks ago. Sal, how many touch points did I mention it typically takes to get somebody to make a decision, to move forward, to take a next step with us?
6 to 8.
6 to 8. And I said the golden spot was where?
I think you said it was 8.
It was actually 8 to 10. Right? Ideally, minimum 6 to 8 touches, the golden time where we were like one of 10% of people that actually are still trying to talk to this person was by the time we got to 8. So if I'm going to do this funnel, there's really going to be minimum 8 tiers through this process, right? Touch 1, touch 2, touch 3, touch 4, touch 5, touch 6, touch 7, touch 8, because it typically is going to take about that many to get somebody to pop out here But in our early marketing campaign, I've got a cold audience, bought a list, gonna do some marketing to them. What is the golden spot at the end of it? When they pop out of the bottom of this, when our marketing actually does its job, what really are they at that point? John May, what are they at that point?
Customer.
Are they a customer already?
Not necessarily, but they could be like one of your hottest leads.
Yeah, at that point, they're a lead. Right? If this is cold traffic going in up here, I went and bought a list, skip traced it. I've got it targeted down. I know my avatar. This is who I'm going after, right? That's cold audience. I'm going to hit them with at least 8 different touches along the way. Some will happen sooner. Some will fall out of here and come down to this spot quicker. Others, it might take longer for them to get down here, right? But once they finally get out of this thing, they're really just interested prospects at that point. They're just leads. So think back to what I said yesterday. If they're leads at this phase, where do they actually go now at this point? Into what funnel?
Sales
Gene.
and acquisitions,
Oh, Chris, say it again.
sales and acquisitions funnel.
Yeah, they literally just fall into another funnel, which is my sales and acquisition. And Bob, we had all these stages, right? That we had built out yesterday to get it all the way through. And once they got to the end of that, then they were finally a customer. So we have our sales and acquisition funnel. We talked about this one yesterday. But when it comes to the marketing side, do we have multiple marketing funnels feeding our sales and acquisition funnel? Or I should say, should we have multiple marketing funnels feeding our sales and acquisition funnel? Absolutely. Over here, maybe we have our SEO funnel. And it's got its stages of the process that they go through to eventually come in here. Over here, we've got maybe our social media, and it's got its piece. They're going to drop in. Maybe over here, we've got our offline funnel, and it's got its different touch points and stages, and they're going to drop in at some point. But here's the really fun part of it is sometimes people jump out of the funnel and go where? Not to our sales and marketing just yet, or our sales and acquisitions, I mean, but they jump out of our funnel and go where?
Oh, doing their research on the business to make sure you're worth their while.
This is like a big interconnecting maze where they can go from funnel to funnel to funnel. And it's like pinball, right? They're constantly bouncing from the different funnels back and forth to different things. And the farther they bounce, before you know it, one of these kind of aspects, if we've got a lot of, I forget who said, I think Chris C, you said it, casting kind of like a wide net, right? Well, if I've got multiple funnels, I got a pretty wide net. Who's ever watched the show Deadliest Catch? Gene, you've watched, I saw your hand go up. What's their strategy?
They first locate where they'll have a bigger probability of catching something on their radar, then they'll go out there and then they'll each throw out a net, pretty wide net, and then they'll waste it up. And they kind of sift through that net to see what they're going to keep, what are the keepers and what are the throwaways.
And if it was a good area, what do they do then?
Cast
A
a
lot of
wide
times-
net.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Cast a wide net.
Yeah, I watched the show, the Deadliest Catch one where they're crab fishing, right? So they, to Gene's first point, they look at the map and they're like, hey, our probability is probably pretty good right here. Sounds familiar, right? We kind of buy a list. We're like, yeah, this is probably a pretty good type of lead source. These types of things going on in my market. I want to buy people that are in this situation. They go to that area and they throw a bunch of test pods around. And when they find an area where a test pod actually gained a bunch of crab, well, then they unload the boat of pods all throughout that area. They saturate the hell out of it because their test pod came back pretty positive. So now it's time to, right, double down, in essence. Unload the boat, put them all out there, try to catch as many of these things as we can get out of that spot. And they repeat the process. Well, the same's true here with what we're doing. We're putting out a bunch of test pods. Until we start to really identify which ones are working really, really well for us. And then we can maybe identify, hey, social media doesn't do much for me. Maybe I don't put as much focus on that. But my SEO pod, my offline stuff is working really well. Those are the ones that really feed my sales and acquisitions funnel. This making sense so far? So where it got really interesting with Mickey and Aisa when we were talking, let's just break down a single funnel with our different steps. Is marketing single media or multimedia? What would you guys say? Multimedia. A marketing campaign. Sorry, Deanna, you have to wait. A good marketing campaign is multimedia. Now, what is media? What do I mean by media?
It could be anything, man. It could be anything.
Give me an example.
Commercials, radio commercials, newspaper ads, periodical ads, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, any kind of outreach.
Mhm.
Basically anything we do, right? Postcard, mailings of letter, text, cold call, sign. All of these are different medias. Video, blog, different variations of media, the way people consume, right? So we need multi-touch, multimedia in our campaign. So I've got whatever my audience is going in here. Chris, you just recently started to break this down. Chris S. You guys have your target audience, you know who you're going after, and you started to build out a little bit of a campaign. What is the first step in your campaign? What's the first action you're doing towards this audience?
SMS.
SMS. At this point, we have one touch, one media. What's the next step in your process?
Another SMS.
Another SMS. At this point, we have two touches, one media. What's your third step?
Voicemail.
What do we have now?
3 touches.
3 touches. How many medias?
2.
This is where we could argue it.
Okay, I see where you're going. It's the same. It's still a phone, essentially.
Still on the phone.
Okay.
3 touch, one media. What's your next step?
Postcard,
4 touch,
2 media.
2 media. Even if I'm nice and give you this one up here as 2, we're still 4-3 here, right?
Mhm.
What's next?
Another SMS,
We're 5 touch, 3 media. What's next?
next is a phone call,
6 touch, 3 media. What's next?
direct mail,
Sean, this is all to the same lead list? This funnel?
Yeah. 7 touch, 3 media. Because it's still mailing.
right?
Do you have anything after that?
Paper mail or email?
Paper
This is
mail.
paper mail. Let's do the mailbox. After that,
Why does it stay 3 then?
Because he mailed a postcard right here.
Some bitch. Okay, got it.
Do you have anything else, Chris, or is that kind of where yours ended?
there's more SMS and phone calls, but it continues on to about 10.
So we get out to eventually 10 touches across only 3 medias. Do you see it?
I do. I
Is it
definitely-
multimedia and multi-touch? Yeah, it's multiple medias, 3 different medias. But when I look at the list of other medias that are available to me, ads, be paid online, paid TV ads, paid commercial ads on the radio, something like that, right? There's a couple different medias inside of ads. TV is a visual ad, social media would be a visual ad, that'd be the same. Radio ad is auditorial ad. So that'd be a different media, right? Signage. It'd be another media. Door hangers. Not just something in the mail. Now we've changed the media a little bit, even though it's still something being put at their place. It didn't get delivered in the post office box. It's hanging on their door. My favorite back in the day, sticky note. If we were really targeting some places and I couldn't get in touch with somebody and I was in the neighborhood, I always had a sticky pad in my vehicle. Always bright colored. I'd write a note on the sticky pad, take it off and go stick it to their door. Typically got their attention. Why? That's something a neighbor might do. Doesn't look like a marketing piece. They're more likely to grab it and look at it. The more media that we can have, the more equal our touch count to our media count can get. What do you think happens to the probability of them making it through to the bottom? Goes up. We really don't know what is the media that they need. Everybody's slightly different. Now, once this kind of comes through and they come through this point, it all comes down to really the funnel. Chris C, you were asking, this is all to one campaign. In this example, we're breaking it down to one campaign. However, we are currently doing a campaign right now. We're getting ready to launch it that looks like this. It is a Facebook funnel. More importantly, it is a ad on Facebook. The first funnel of this process is to get them into a webinar registration. So we're hyper targeting real estate individuals, people with real estate interests, people that follow certain real estate individuals on Facebook with a Facebook ad. And the goal for that portion of this funnel is to get them to the webinar registration aspect and register for the webinar. Does that make sense? Well, the first thing that we are putting in this is a video. It's 2 to 3 minutes long. Actually, I'm looking at it right now on my other screen. It's actually 3 minutes and 20 seconds currently until I make a couple more slight edits to cut it down. The second phase of this is anybody that watches 50% of that video, they're going to be retargeted with a different 2 to 3 minute video. And anybody that watches 50% of that video is going to be retargeted with a ad that has a call to action for the webinar. And then we have another ad, different copy, different call to action, different ad, different call to action, different copy, all trying to continue to push them through. And we just keep retargeting, retargeting, retargeting. If you watch this video, you watch a little bit of this video, you're going to start getting these ads. And as you engage with those ads, you click on them, these type of things. There's a lot of interactive, there's engagement that we can play on based on what Facebook's giving, right? To continue to put that in their feed. Now, when they get to the webinar, does this make them a customer? No, Aisa, what does this make them?
A lead,
Huh?
a more solid lead.
A warmer lead, because they've gotten to the webinar. So in reality, when they get here, it really brings them and drops them into our webinar marketing funnel. And it's going to have its process. What do you think the first process, the first stage of the webinar marketing funnel is? Come on, this is like slam dunk, pretty easy.
You could either do price up front, or you could do the information on what's in the webinar.
Overcomplicating it. Be on webinar. Once I got them to register, the first stage of the webinar funnel is show up. After the webinar, what do I typically do when a webinar is done? What typically gets sent out?
Well, thank you for attending type of thing.
Yeah, thank you. / the replay. Then a few days later, an email, a call to action to join get on a breakout session, a breakthrough session, right? And maybe, I don't know where the heck that came from. Then it could be a text comes out. I could mail if I had their address. Part of the registration was getting an address. I can mail them a postcard. All right, thank you for joining, whatever the topic of the webinar was. I can mail them a loss leader, like my book or something like that. Now, what is the outcome of this funnel? What are we driving for? What's my golden star moment here?
A lead to be part of the whatever the webinar was about. Purchase.
Chris S., what do you think? I saw you on mute too.
To get them set up an appointment with you.
Yeah. Doesn't necessarily need to be me. In this case, it is
Or
me.
your team.
But yeah, get them set up, which is really the top of my what?
Sales and acquisitions funnel.
So this is gonna, when they get it to here, it's really the feeder for the sales and acquisitions funnel. But I had to take them through this funnel and this funnel to get them there. This making sense?
It is, but this too could be more advantageous for you. It's already set up and it's them to make the decision to go into the sales and acquisition.
Correct. I'm taking a cold audience, a completely cold audience, right? Random targeting on Facebook. And warming them up through 2 different funnels to get them to a point to where this isn't so bad anymore. The ones that by the time they get to this part of the process into the sales and acquisition funnel, they're pretty warm, they're pretty comfortable. It's pretty much their decision. They're ready to go, right? This is 2 funnels working together. Could we eliminate this and just take this funnel and instead of driving to a webinar registration, instead drive them to step 1, book a call? Yes, we could. Conversion rate, higher or lower? Going that way.
Lower.
Lower, way lower. Because this just isn't going to warm them up enough. Right? It's not warming up enough of that 97 to 99% of people who need to be nurtured a little bit before they're ready to come and get serious with me and have a date, go to dinner with me, right? They want to come have some coffee in a public place, sitting outside, where they've got multiple ways to run away from Sean if he's scary. Right? They're not ready to go to the nice dinner date just yet. They sure as enough aren't ready to, at the end of that sales and acquisition funnel, become my client, AKA meet the family and all my crazy brothers and sisters that are out there. You knew I had to bring it back to dating somehow, right? Thoughts, comments, questions on this? D share where I can actually see everybody. Nobody? Aisa, what was the big aha you guys had yesterday when we started to go through this?
So it was more the breakdown and confirming that it's one funnel to the next, and not thinking that it's just one funnel that's going to give you everything, but like really breaking down the process a little bit further down. And then how with Lead Vault, you can kind of like, having all the different scenarios and workflows that helps also with following up with the different funnels. So that to me, that was the good part, like, really taking the time to separate the different steps and phases of the client, because that's crucial. That's really how you don't lose one and you don't forget about one. Because
Mhm.
that's the one we've had issues with. Sometimes somebody gets lost in the shuffle. But if you have the steps and the processes down and the different funnels, then you're ensuring that you're not forgetting a step or somebody.
Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions before I keep going here?
Yeah, I got something. It's funny that you showed this. I'm actually a lead in a particular funnel right now. For instance, for engagement photos, there was a Facebook ad, all right? And this is actually pretty good marketing. It was enter in a contest to win a free engagement session. And with that, you got emails leading up to it. The first thing when you won, you got a scheduled call with him. And then after that, I'm seeing it now. He's taking us through this particular process. And now I would say that we're in the sales and acquisitions aspect of it too. So it's kind of interesting to see being in it too, versus having someone go through it.
Anybody else, real quick?
Yeah, so for me, it's just figuring out, you have a few different variables. You have how many funnels you're gonna have, aka lead lists, how many touches per funnel, how many different type of media per funnel. And so, then there's the whole beta testing and how much do you do in one funnel versus cutting your losses and trying a different group. So it just, my mind goes to all those things.
Absolutely. All of that's what we call our KPIs, right? Understanding what's working, what's not, the metrics around each media. There's a laundry list of media out there that you can do. Does that mean that it's going to, work for that particular audience? We don't know until we try, until we test it, right? So we test different medias. Now we know data tells us in a campaign that single funnel, minimum 6, ideally 8 or more touch points, because the majority of people have stopped by the time we get out to 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're one of the very few still trying to hit them at that point. Because your competition, they're not willing to go that far, right? Many of you guys up to this point weren't willing to go that far. 1, 2, 3 touches, you're like, screw it, that list sucks. RealFlow doesn't give me good data. That company didn't sell me good data. So we know minimum 6, ideally 8. Media-wise, my experience, minimum 4 different medias. Minimum 4. So that's why when we're playing with this Facebook one right now, it's like video, 2 to 3 minute long video, no sales pitch whatsoever, 100% educational based. If somebody pays attention to at least 50% of that, a minute and a half, that 3 minute long video, hit them with another video, still the same media, but now I'm changing the message a little bit, see if I can't pull them a little tighter to us. Those ones, now I've kind of got you at that point. If you watch those 2 a little bit, you're showing enough interest, you probably are going to be ready for the call to action. Well, the next 3 tiers, it's different types of ads. Some graphics, some just pure text with a photo. Some could be more animated, like a GIF type, posting, different calls to actions around it, so that I'm getting a little different touch point out there. Now, to fill that webinar, I'm not just doing Facebook. I also have another funnel, which is really another set of media, and that's around email and texting, which is basically attacking the database that we already have. Same thing, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things going out about this webinar over the course of a week or so, reminding and reminding and reminding and reminding and reminding. If I really wanted to add a third funnel with another set of media around this, what if I decided, hey, I'm going to be in Houston in a month, so I'm going to do this webinar What if I bought a list or found a way to get a hold of a bunch of addresses of real estate individuals in the Houston market and mailed postcards, inviting them to a webinar? That then while I'm on the webinar, they can get to know me, and I could not try to drive them to a strategy call out of that webinar, but instead say, hey, for my Houston folks that are on this training, Roger and I are going to be in Houston, and on Friday, we're going to do X at this place at this time. Come hang out. Multiple funnels. Each funnel's got a couple different medias through it, multiple touches along the way, all still trying to drive to the same sales and acquisition funnel. And then it is get them on a call at some point or sit down face to face and do a breakthrough discovery. So I can actually talk about our services. Now, Facebook for us, Facebook paid ads on Facebook, this is brand new territory. We've yet in 3 years to even run ads on Facebook. It's kind of next tier for us. So this first go around, it's all to just gather data. I have zero expectation on what this campaign is going to do. But the data out of this one is going to help us for March's campaign, for the webinar that we do in March. We'll have better data, therefore we'll have better expectations. We can make some refinements. Maybe our theory of these videos mixed with different styles of call to action ads, maybe they don't work as well as I thought they will in my head. So maybe we need to change that up. Key is plan it, run it, test it, track it, adjust it, run it again, track it, adjust it again, run it again. Just keep going through it. And to Chris, to your point, after a few iterations, you start to realize it's not really generating, the return on it isn't enough to excite me to keep this one going. Maybe I change out some media and try again, or maybe I change audience. But if you're looking at campaigns right now and you're only running one media against an audience, it's really hard to say, is it the media or is it the audience? Because you only got one media going at it. But if you got multiple media in there where you're at least 3-4 different medias, now you're trying to, you kind of got it balanced out where one of these 3 or 4 should catch somebody's attention. If I'm not getting the return, then chances are it could be a misalignment just of the messaging to the audience. Because we know the audience isn't bad. If we buy a list of people that are in foreclosure, they were in foreclosure at some point, whether they're out of it now or not. They were in foreclosure. They had a problem at one point. But maybe it's just our messaging is off. But before we get stressed on the messaging, we really got to look at the structure. Do we have multiple touches, multiple medias going out? Who remembers when Roger talked Google Stacks?
Yes.
Lorraine was. I know you were around. A Google Stack is multiple media in the digital space. It all started at one end. Let's call it the YouTube end with a video. And that video had content, but in that content, there was links that could take them to the website for deeper information, typically a blog. Well, that's a different form of media, writing versus watching, right? But there also was this other element of the stack where it was over on GMB, a GMB post, which is really just a snippet in an image. And it's for that person's just siphoning through Google looking for results. And that GMB linked them to the video. But we could throw, if we had a fourth kind of component to this, if we had audio some way, this is what we do with our podcast. Podcast in audio format is auditorial. it's a hearing media. There's no visual aspect to it. So a one podcast episode really turns into a big multimedia, multi-touch campaign. Because they can listen, they could watch, they could read the Cliff Notes. And I could put that information in front of them in various formats and various outlets to try to get their attention. Multiple touch, multiple media, one asset. See a lot of like, oh, it's going through our minds right now. Other than Kim and Lorraine, nobody else is smiling. Wow, even my jokes aren't landing today. We good?
It's a tough crowd.
It is. Kim, were you trying to talk? The little green box went around.
I'm just cracking up behind the scenes here.
Why? Because you and Lorraine are the only ones smiling?
Yes.
Jordan's trying to look at other screens, acting like he's paying attention. Chris S is just staring at me. I don't know if I look like food or what or something. John, I think, is over there working already, putting action behind it.
Oh, unfortunately, it's the W-2 job part, trying to put out fires.
Jordan's got some tips on how to handle that.
Yeah, when it's your ministry, it's a little different than walking away from that. So
Yeah.
Just quit, bro. Just quit. I'm just messing with you.
All right. I'm gonna